Hey everybody, it's Abby Glassenberg from Craft Industry Alliance. I hope you're having a fabulous Wednesday. We have moved our member spotlight time from 1:30 Eastern down to noon Eastern, although today we're starting a little bit later than that. Just so if you're always kind of showing up to our member spotlights, you know that we're going to be going live at noon Eastern going forward. So today we're very excited to have Zahiyya on our show. She is actually a fairly new member, and she has an incredibly cool business called Cover Industry and fabric or pattern design industry, as well as in the tech industry and designing websites. And so it's great to have a chance to talk to her. Hi, how are you?
Good. Yourself? How's everything going?
Everything is going really well. I was just saying that you're a fairly new
Yes.
member. I got to meet you at our Craft Business Roundtable,
Yes.
which was a lot of fun and learn a little bit about your business, but I'm excited to learn more. So tell us about your business now, and then we're going to go backward and talk a little bit about how you got here.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, Cover Me Chic is basically a modest sewing community. So it's for women who like modest clothing. So, nothing hanging out too much, but modesty is, it's subjective. So it's, it runs the gambit. So basically it's a community. It's a monthly membership. So CMC Collective is what we call it. You get like a pattern a month. I teach sewing, textile, fashion design. And then it's like a Q&A once a month, and we discuss like on the community. Like basically it's like hit me with everything, any questions that you have, like with the patterns, with, sewing, with business, with anything. So we have that. So that's it in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot more,
Right.
but that's the short version.
Okay. And so what drew you to wanting to offer sewing patterns for modest clothing? Because there's actually a really big market for this for a lot of different reasons that I'm assuming it's mostly women's patterns that women want to or are drawn to or need to wear modest clothing. So what was your personal sort of story that made you want to do this?
Well, my person was okay, so it goes way back. As of when I was growing up, I had to wear modest clothing because I'm Muslim. So it was a way that we had to dress, but I really didn't like the stuff that everyone's telling me to wear. So I mean, I was the rebel, of course. So I actually learned how to sew. My father knew how to sew, my mother knew how to sew. A lot of sisters in the community knew how to sew, so I learned how to sew through them. So I was sewing like at 9, 10 years old, making my own clothes. So I mean, I really took to it. So I was making stuff like I go home at night, I would make something, wear it the next day.
Yeah.
So I've been sewing for a very, very long time. Then I went to like high school for fine arts, and then I went to college for fashion design. And while I was actually in college and high school, I did an internship at a textile company. And that's when I started to learn how to textile. And, I don't know if you can see this, but like screen printing and, textile design and all of that. So all of that, of course, got into the whole fashion thing. So I used that in my fashion career. So after college, I worked in the New York fashion industry for over like 23 years. It's been a long time.
What were some of your roles when you were working in the fashion industry in New York?
I started, of course, as assistant designer, straight out of college. I worked my way up. I went to a couple of different companies, but I stayed at one company for a very long time, which is over 20 years. But I worked my way up in there. So I started as assistant designer, then designer, senior designer, and I left as a design director.
Oh, wow.
So I was working at a design director for about 15 plus years.
Amazing.
And my specialty was, we did everything, but I really honed in on like men's and boys athletic wear.
Okay.
So it was not in the athletic wear. It was more like athleisure, lifestyle, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of experience in, product development, designing, from concept to production, all of the in-betweens and, building brands and stuff like that.
Yeah, amazing. Such incredible experience. And so what was what was the spark that made you decide to go off on your own and do this new business?
Well, it's honestly COVID.
Yeah.
It really put, because anybody who works in the industry knows it's like nonstop. It's crazy. It's like really, really and I have 2 kids, and I was, commuting and doing that. So COVID really allowed me to slow down.
Sure.
And once I slowed down and I realized the craziness of this whole thing, and it allowed me to really think and get into myself and start the whole thing. And then when COVID ended, I worked out a system where I was remote for most of the week, and I came in one day. So that was working for years.
Yeah.
So it happened, of course, demands come up and they wanted me to come back in full time.
Oh, I see.
And I said, no.
Not going back. Yeah, no, understandable.
I said no. I was just like, it's really not worth my peace of mind. I was able to work as a design director, managing teams and, sourcing and all that from home. And it was working, but, they wanted more. So I decided to step away. And I still work for them, freelance and contract and stuff like that. So I do take on clients, while I'm building Cover Me Chic.
Okay. And so how are you marketing Cover Me Chic to the audiences that it, would most appeal to? Are you like
building?
it's an interesting question
learning.
Because I mean, there are definitely really devoted audiences who want this membership and these patterns, but how are you reaching them?
Right now it's through social media. I know a lot of people that are in the space, in terms of modest fashion. So I'm starting to reconnect that way, but it's through social media, through word of mouth. It's still, new. I mean, I was dabbing in it when I was working full time, but now it's just like, okay, this is what I actually want to do, because it's like, this is what lights the fire. This was why I got into sewing in the first place.
Right?
Yeah, and this is what I do, and I've always made my own clothes. I made clothes. I mean, I had a bespoke company for a while. Then that got too much, because I didn't source it out. But this is what I want to do. So it's a slow build. Build. So right now it's just through social media and email lists, and right now we're giving away a free kimono pattern. So if you go to the website, you can download that for now for free. And I don't know if you see it, I got you. That's the pattern. And I designed the fabric on it too.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So you can download that fabric. I mean, not the fabric. I'm sorry.
The pattern?
The pattern.
Yeah.
You can actually buy the fabric, because I am selling textiles as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
okay.
If you go to covermechic.com, you can see, everything that we offer.
Okay. So it's Cover Me Chic, COVERMECHIC. .com.
Yes.
So that's you can go to download that free pattern, check everything out. Maybe help spread the word to friends of yours who wear modest clothing, who might be in a community where modest clothing is something that lots of women need and want. So I do think word of mouth is the strongest way to spread the word for a business like this, because it is like friend to friend almost.
Yeah. I mean, and it was in the sewing community, because everything, it's like a modest aesthetic. It's not necessarily everything is, and I love structured clothing. So whether it's not necessarily showing everything, but it's still, fits your body. That's the whole purpose of sewing.
Fits you, right?
Yeah. That's the whole purpose.
It's not like a big potato sack. Like, it's
exactly. That's
fashionable, beautiful.
That's why I got out of it. That's exactly why I started sewing, because I'm not going around just wearing just straight up baggy everything. Because that's not me.
Right. And I think that's actually the case for lots of women. So I think this is wonderful. I'm just so glad that you're doing this, and I hope people find you. And I had said to you during the roundtable, like, oh, building a membership site, that's complicated. You're like, oh no, I build websites. And I went over and checked out your website, and indeed it is like really beautifully done. And how did you get experience, just as a side note, like building websites and knowing all that tech?
I mean, as a creative, I mean, I know I speak for a lot of people. You find different ways to create. So, I mean, building a website actually came out of need, because at the time I had someone working on my website and I didn't necessarily like the way that it was going. It wasn't like I asked for some changes, then it'll take like 2, 3, So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me learn how to code. So I learned how to code. You know what I'm saying? And I and it's basically an extension of being creative. I love seeing the process from, concept to creation. And I learned how to code. I learned SEO and,
Yeah,
all of that stuff. So I've also do it through Region Design Lab, which was my company, my consulting company. I do websites, especially for fashion brands and solopreneurs and people that are in the creative space. So I specialize in that along with the product development and, designing and stuff like that.
that's wonderful. And I love your attitude of seeing a web presence as an extension of a creative act,
Yes.
instead of having to see it as something burdensome or that it has to be outsourced completely or whatever, but instead really looking at it as a way to express yourself creatively. It's just in a different context. And if you can embrace that and even seeing marketing, you can see marketing along those lines as well. Like this is a way to be creative.
It's, the marketing thing is still growing on me.
That's hard. No, I hear you.
Because that's a beast in itself. So
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm learning the marketing process, and actually I'm working with a really good woman, Alea, and she's helping me do the social media thing and the marketing thing.
That's
So
great.
it's a slow build.
It's a slow
Yeah.
build, but that's okay, and it builds as you build. So that's great. Well, this has been wonderful talking to you. I hope everybody goes and follows you on Instagram and goes to the website, download the free pattern, and sort of follow along on the journey as it builds. So I'm really excited for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks to everybody who came this week, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Take care, everybody.